Like this morning, we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali, text 32. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chiva Nutanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat. Naspresya Bhadrasu Nityam Bharata Sevya Bharavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Tvam Vachtamanam Naradeva Dehesu Anupravitto Yamadamapukaha Labonitam Soyam Anayam Amo Yesta Samaya Kalahasa Sambaha Tvam Vachtamanam Naradeva Deyesu Anupravitto Yamadamapukaha Lobonitam Sayamanayam Amo Shesta Samaya Kalahasadam Paha. Word for word translation. Tvam, you, Vartamanam, while present. Naradeva, a man god or king. Dehesu, in the body. Anupavrittaha, taking place everywhere. Ayam, all these, are dharma, irreligious principles. Puraha, in the masses. Lobhaha, greed. Amritam, falsity. Saryam, robbery. Anayam, incivility. Amma, treachery. Shesta, misfortune. Cha, and Maya, cheating. Kalaha, quarrel. Cha, dambaha. Cha, and dambaha, vanity. Now we have translation and purpose by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki. If the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man god, that or an executive head, certainly religious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. Purport. The principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the follower of any faith. There is no need to turn from Hindu to Mohammedan, or from Mohammedan to Christian, or to some other faith, and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. The Bhagavatam religion urges following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of a certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of the time and place concerned. One has to see whether the aims of religion have been achieved. Sticking to the dogmas or formulas without attaining the real principles is not good. A secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of state will be indifferent to such religious principles, and therefore, under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will not really follow, and so there will be no meaning to propaganda trying to stop the corruption in the state. I read the verse again. Tvam vartamanam naradeva dehesu anupavitto yamadharma puhaha lobo nitam soyamanayam mamu shasta samaya kalahasadambaha. If the personality of Kali, a religion, is allowed to act as a man-god or an executive head, certainly religious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnanjana Shanakya Shaksurmetam Yena Tasmai Gurave Namah Chitchitaya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyo Shiyudapadakamanam Shiyam Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Sagajatam Saganaranatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagalita Shivishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopta Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gauri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhani Sitadevi Pranamama Hare Priye Vancha Kalpta Vishya Kripasana Vivasya Patna Bhavani Bhyo Vashna Bhyo Namanama Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani. Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatyaya Dasatari. So the leaders of today, they have no clue of their real identity. They misidentify with the body. That if you misidentify with the body, then how can you do something good for someone else? You cannot even do something good for your own benefit. That because the body has needs and the soul has needs, but the needs of the soul are neglected. That the priority goes to the body and to the body only, to the mind and the senses. That such leaders who are in ignorance cannot do anything good for others. That is confirmed also in the Bhagavatam, Nate Vitusvartratime Visnum, Durasye Bair Achtamanina, Yat Anda Yat Ander Paniyamanas Tepistantam Udam Nibadam. So people accept gurus or leaders who are blind as described here to the religious principles. That if one does not follow the religious principles, one becomes absorbed in passion and ignorance. What does Bhagavad Gita say of the future, those who are engrossed in passion and ignorance? That when one dies in a mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. But most people are not dying in a mode of passion on this earth, but in a mode of ignorance, because it is the breaking of the religion's principles is encouraged in so many ways that because the whole system is based in making people consumers, that getting things they don't need, getting things them to buy which are bad for their health, they don't care. That as long as the economy is good, world leaders will come to the point our economy is priority number one. That makes us great. That makes our country great. But this economic development means development on a great scale of lust and greed, and cheating each other to get as much possible profit. That Prabhupada in the purport speaks about there's no need to turn a Hindu in a Mohammedan, or a Mohammedan to a Christian, but one must follow the principles of religion. But even these religions mentioned here have become degenerated, and the practitioners are diverting from the principles of religion. And that so eating meat and the compassion is gone. Greed takes over. It's so selfish, and that people, that's the system of democracy itself is based on selfish principle. My party will rule, and this is our program of sense gratification. That and we want that. That don't care. We fight against the others. They have a different program for sense gratification, a different program of breaking all related principles. It is selfish. That people are trained to be consumers, means uncontrolled tongue, means uncontrolled tongue, uncontrolled genitals. That and this is a society that becomes degraded. Criminality takes over, and that cheating takes over, quarrel. That and this is all due to unqualified leaders. And therefore, here Maharaj Parikshit, he would not allow Kali any activity in his kingdom. And his and we get a warning here in this verse. If such a so-called low-grade people who are not following the regulative principles of the principles of religion, and they act as leaders, it will cause so much misfortune, and that's what we see today. Leaders have no good qualities, not the qualities that will make them self-realized, that they don't care about others, that but Maharaj Parikshit, he was a Mahabhagavat. He had a real concern about everyone, that they would make spiritual advancement, follow the principles of religion, so that they would come to goodness, that it's in Bhagavad Gita, one who dies in the mode of goodness, he attains pure higher planets of the great sages. But that's the result of following the religious principles, these basic principles of religion. But it is not meant, religion is not meant to just follow the basic principles, but to follow the higher principles of religion, which is bhakti, the devotional path which leads to liberation. But no, everyone is interested in this world with his own self-interest. And we see what does it create? Create production of so many unwanted things, dangerous accidents on the roads, and that pollution all over the planet. Every time I'm traveling to Delhi, I'm thinking, am I going to survive the pollution? It is so all-pervading that India thinks now we have become a civilized nation, very strong economically. But they have gone back, they have become degraded, they have forgotten their spiritual heritage and put it on the second place. So that's very deplorable, that especially the development of the mode of ignorance, that when we're in the mode of ignorance, after death he becomes an animal. And even animals have no nice life in this society, on exception of some dogs or some cows which are treated nicely by the devotees. Then people go to these lower forms of life and have to elevate themselves by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. And that takes ages. But we need strong leaders who give the example. But the culture doesn't allow it to appoint such first-class leaders, that they are elected for some time, for 4 years or 6 years, and then the next one comes and changes everything. They elect Sudras and they fight with each other. They do not come to an agreement. because there's selfishness. My program, that's most important. My program of sense gratification. That so this is yeah. Of course, she also Prabhupada says there is no need to change your religion, but these basic principles of religion are based on the fact that we are spirit soul, not a body. That, and that we are under these modes of nature, under illusion. That, but that requires knowledge. Not that's knowledge why we are suffering. Not because in Islam, in Christianity, there are serious defects that and nobody talks about it. But you go to YouTube on the internet, you type evidence for reincarnation, and you get so much evidence. The list is without end, but they are neglecting it. They are not speaking about it. If you don't accept reincarnation, you cannot explain why people suffer. Because people suffer because of their past misdeeds in their previous life. That is why they are suffering. And Christianity, Islam, they try to give some explanation about suffering, but it is not satisfactory. They present a God who seems to be angry, that so real knowledge is the signs of the soul, that we are not his body. We are a spirit, soul, a part and parcel of God. That and we are the consciousness in this body. Just that fact, it's difficult to understand. And that so life means consciousness. Consciousness is transported to the blood. That so yes, this is the ignorance of modern society. These principles of religion, austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. You see, many times in our society, I've seen houses very clean, everything paka. You think these people are in the mode of goodness. But then you come in these houses and look what's happening there. It's all for sense gratification. The whole area, externally it looks goodness, but it is deeply involved in passion and ignorance. That and that is subtly in the atmosphere. That a devotee is aware of that. The subtle influence is much powerful than the gross influence. And a devotee is very careful. So in this society, it's very dangerous society. It brings you to the mode of passion and ignorance. And that, but yes, that like food, that food touched by sinful people becomes sinful. That sometimes we have programs at House of Life members They are not really chanting, but they are nice and they are cooking. And then they invite us to eat. Can you eat that? Better not. It's dangerous to eat food from kermis because it's going to weaken it's going to weaken your mind and your determination. Even can we eat food cooked by machines? Who is operating the machines? Can we eat meals, vegetarian meals provided on airplanes? No idea who cooks it. Yeah. So, can I eat onions? Onions are in a mode of ignorance. That brings you to ignorance. You lose your truthfulness. That your austerity, your cleanliness. What about eating meat? Sometimes people say this cheese is vegetarian, but you have to be very careful. So the devotee is very, very cautious in these things, very careful. Very careful to maintain these principles of religion. And it is nearly an impossible mission in this society. People see us as fanatics because we don't want to go to hell. We don't want to contaminate our consciousness. People have no idea about the influence of their environment on our consciousness. The subtle is more powerful. Therefore, the safe place to live is always in the temple. But we have to go out for various reasons. But the leaders themselves are breaking these principles of religion. How can they do good? How can they do any good for anyone? Therefore, the Bible says, one blind leader is taking another blind man, leading them into a ditch, into a blind well. So one material attached man is trying to lead other attached men, and they become more and more implicated in the materialistic way of life, going straight to the animalistic way of life, suffering like anything. But the devotees, they try to give transcendental knowledge to others, which will liberate them from this false influence. And that knowledge is in Prabhupada's books. Therefore, we have a great mission to help others. So, the Bhagavatam urges to follow the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not dogmas. Dogma and invention, that a statement that everyone follows without any depth. No, it is based on the science of the soul. That it is based on a flawless philosophy given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. That, so it says such regulative principles may be different in terms and time concerned. Yes. That Jesus Christ was preaching to fishermen and meat eaters. That he could not say them straight, stop meat eating, or that, because they would not follow him. But he indirectly indicated many times. At the end on the cross, he said, I didn't say everything, that because they were not ready for it. But that's also a point to consider. We may criticize this society, but because they are in passion and ignorance, they are not ready for it. That, so therefore we have to be careful how we preach. Fanatically preaching the knowledge, like I've done here now, that it's not good for new people. That it must go gradually. That this is the Bhagavatam, the end of the first canto, because the Bhagavatam starts in the second canto, the speaking of the Bhagavatam. And Sutta Goswami is preparing us. We have to know these principles. Without these principles, you cannot understand this literature because you are in passion and ignorance. And at the end of the second canto, there is a statement by Prabhupada that if one, after reading the first and second canto, if one is not free from this four, one cannot follow these four relative principles, at least not on the grossly aspect, one should start again at the first canto. Start again until you can follow. Then you can go to the third canto. Because that Bhagavatam is in goodness, pure goodness. Amalam Puranam. And it's for those who are non-envious. That, but the power of the Bhagavatam is as such, even if you are strongly contaminated, it will purify you in a gradual process. But at the end of the second canto, not free of the four defects, of the four, not the four defects, the four sinful activities, one must start again. That so the principles of religion are not dogmas; they are universal knowledge, and it may be different according to time and place concerned. So, but one has to see whether the aim of religion has been achieved. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedasa Sarvam Ameva Vidya, I'm to be known by all the Vedas. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, well, in different parts of the Gita, Bhakti Mama Vachanti Yavyasasmi Tatvata Tatvato Tatvato Gatva Vishate Tatanantram. I can only be known by devotion. Entering the higher spiritual energy, devotion, then I can be known. So that's the aim of religion, to develop that devotion, that love for God. That one has to learn that God is all good. All good. He's not an angry God. That whatever he does for us is for our betterment. Whatever we go through. That So that is suffering is to rectify us. That rectifier mentality. Come to the following of these regulative principles, these principles of religion, that and get out of this birth, death, old age, and disease by following the path of yoga, and the highest yoga is bhakti. That so we should have knowledge of these principles. Of course, Prabhupada speaks about a secular state. Yeah. Most states are secular, religion out. But they cannot negate the principles of religion. That they cannot change the principles of religion to allow their sinful activities. That's not possible. That also in Christianity there is such a push to allow certain things which are also in the Bible completely rejected, these sinful activities. That so let's change religion, but religion you cannot change. The principles of religion, they are eternal. They are laws. That and when one who transgresses these universal laws will have the reactions. Therefore, Prabhupada said, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion. But in Kali Yuga, in the Vedic system, you had the Brahmins who gave the Vedic knowledge, and the Kshatriyas were following them and living according, and was making sure everyone was following. And the Vaishyas, Krishi, Go, Raksha, Vanyam, they were taking care of agriculture, cow protection, trade, so that everyone had what was needed. And the Sudras, they were assisting. So everyone was helping. It was a peaceful society. Everyone felt protected. Everyone had the basic needs. And everyone had education for free of the Brahmins. And no anxiety, at least no big anxiety. Material life means also always anxiety, but it was a minimum. That now anxiety is increased because the Sudras have become the Brahmins of the new time. Those who do not follow any, well, lower than Sudras. Because the Sudras, they were following the religious principles. Lower than Sudras. They have become the top now. What good can it give? Only anxiety, wars, tension, that consumerism increasing, that greed, falsehoods, cheating, pilfering, that so the corruption of the state has become practically unstoppable. Drugs everywhere. That we see that drugs criminality is all going up. At least in Europe, I can see that much different than 20, 30 years ago. But it's our duty to propagate these principles of religion and propagate, and we follow these principles of religion. And that makes our lives immediately auspicious, because we will be protected by these religious principles, these basic Krishna conscious principles. So I will stop here. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you very much, Maharaj. If you have time, I have two questions, Maharaj.
Yeah.
One is...
Thank you, Maharaj. That was a very good class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
When you say, I really appreciated the statement that Krishna says that it's only through devotion that he can be understood. Trying to understand that a little better. We typically, in my mind, we usually picture this state of devotion as a kind of emotion that we feel. I know it's more than just that, but is that what Prabhupada would say when he would call things sentimental, is just based off of an emotion? Because sometimes we feel that way, even though we're in like a neophyte stage. Sometimes when worshiping the deity, we feel very strong emotion, or when doing kirtan or seeing the devotees. But I know it's not complete, because then it goes away. Is that just sentimental?
Thank you, Charan Prabhu. That is an important question you are raising. That so it is clear in the Vedas that we are the consciousness in the body. We are spirit soul, and at the same time we have a mind with emotions and a gross body. That but spiritual life is not an experience of the mind. It's an experience of the soul. That's different. Our natural state is a state of satisfaction and ecstasy. Ecstasy is felt by the soul, by our real selves. That it's not an experience of the mind. If you really feel ecstasy, you will know what it is. But it's rarely achieved. That normally ecstasy comes after liberation, but sometimes we have kirtan and so on, and we get some experience, some, how we call it, a shadow of that experience, not the real thing yet. That, but the mind, it's not an experience of the mind. That spiritual emotions are an experience of the soul. The soul has its own thinking, feeling, and willing. But that's on a higher platform. We get that after liberation. But therefore, many times we have the mistaken idea: I come to Krishna consciousness to feel good. That's not the purpose. We come to the Krishna consciousness movement to please Krishna, whatever it takes. And that can be that we cannot give up our service. We may sometimes suffer, but we should not give up. But the beauty of that is, if you are fully engaged in Krishna's service, that you may suffer, the body may suffer, the mind may suffer, but at the same moment, because you are so absorbed in Krishna and Krishna consciousness, it doesn't bother you. You are transcending it. That like I've got sometimes during a kirtan, I was getting a headache, heavy suffering, but at the same time, I was feeling ecstasy and happy and satisfied. That and after some time, it went away. But that's a mistaken idea that I'm coming to this movement to feel good, to get like-minded people who are also so-called spiritual, and like the New Age, that it's all on a mental platform. But in the beginning, we cannot distinguish between it. But of course, we have a mind, and we can use our emotions in Krishna's service. That our material emotions used in Krishna's service become spiritual. And we see, because we should not only engage our gross body, but also our subtle body in Krishna's service. And then we have these emotions of affection toward Krishna. It's not yet the transcendental ecstasy, that or the pure devotion, but that's the beginning. But that will become spiritualized. Our mind will become spiritualized by using it always in Krishna's service. And then when it's spiritualized, you are using again your thinking, feeling, willing of the soul. Because that's what Krishna consciousness is. You are using your thinking, feeling, and willing of the spiritual body. Actually, it activates the spiritual body. But we suffer, and we suffer in the mind, or feels pleasure, material pleasures in the mind, up to the stage of bhava. Then the identification with this subtle material mind dwindles and will nearly be finished. Then we identify with the soul. Then the soul is its own thinking, feeling, and willing. So I try to explain that a bit, Sharanat Sharanpur. Does that help to understand that?
Yes, that's a lot of very great information. I'll have to listen to it again. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, then we had a question by Purnachandra Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. Yeah. So sometimes, Maharaj, we are encouraging our well-wishers and those who come to temple, irregularly or some. So during that encouragement, we ask them to do a home program and, do a kirtan at their home, call their friends, families. One of the ways, more people will hear and listen. But then usually from Indian culture perspective, then when we go to their home, they expect us to eat at their home. If we reject, they don't like it. So how to handle that situation? Because many times they want to cook and they want to, feed us, meaning they like to host devotees and their friends in such programs, and they want to make sure that everybody is fed properly.
Yeah, that is an issue sometimes, which we cannot avoid. But what you could do is that you tell them, yeah, we have to discuss what preparations you will make. We will also make preparations, bringing for the temple, Mahaprasad, and so on, that you discuss with them. And things they can make are fruit salads and maybe another preparation. But it's good to have also prasad from the temple. Make a combination at least. But we should be careful what we eat, especially grains. Grains become contaminated by their consciousness. If they are not following the four religious principles and they offer it to picture of Krishna or a deity, Krishna will not accept. That's for sure. So we have to be careful. It's not that things become automatically prasad. It's not. That Krishna wants us to cook with him with affection, with devotion. And what are they thinking about when they are cooking? These things you cannot control. Just something to be careful with. That I went with Prahlad Nanda Maharaj, we went to a program, an evening program, and they had cooked for him. And he said, yeah, I will take it with me. And then on the way back to the temple, he asked, are they following the four related principles? Are they chanting? Oh, they are sometimes chanting, and they are pious. Prahlad Nanda Maharaj said, okay, I will not eat it, but don't tell them. So we have to be careful. I think Prahlad Nanda Maharaj will soon be in Deland, he told me. Is that correct?
Yes, Maharaj. I was about to tell. We are expecting him this Friday, Maharaj.
Okay, good. That's very good. He told me also that he would come. That's nice. So that's what I could say on that point. It's not an easy matter.
Yes, Maharaj. No, but thank you for the pointers. And Maharaj, you mentioned that, just trying to understand if I heard correctly, that even if they put in front of Krishna's photo, that doesn't mean it becomes prasad. Yeah. Like usually, yeah, on that day, we do guide them, that it's better to offer that way they know what is offering and all. But it is not necessary it will become prasad. Yeah? That is what the point you mentioned. Yeah?
Yes, that is for sure. Krishna wants devotion. If there's no devotion, he's not interested. And we have also not devotion, maybe. That may be. But we are offering it on the strength of our spiritual master. We offer it first the mantra of our spiritual master, then Prabhupada, and on their strength, because we are following the regulative principles of devotional service, they accept that. But it's not a given. I'm ringing the bell saying some mantras and Krishna will accept. No, it's not. That Krishna wants devotion. He's not interested in your offering.
Yes, Maharaj. And thank you. This is very helpful, Maharaj. And if you have time, I have another question, but if you have.
I have time.
So, Maharaj, initial part of this class, you did mention about the current condition. And then as a devotees, we should focus on particular things, and all this economic development and other things are secondary, or, we shouldn't focus on that. Then my question is, which is we all understand and which is true, but then if we see that the new generation and youth and younger generation, how can we attract them if we tell if they see that there is no importance to economic development or better life, many
Yeah.
other things, or other influencer, or the videos or other, they are talking a lot of things, so they automatically get attracted to that, but they will not get attracted to Krishna consciousness. So how the preaching in future, for future generation will go forward?
Yeah, the point is we have to bring them to read Prabhupada's books. Once they read it, they get mercy. That they need the knowledge. But to attract them, there are many ways to attract them. That you organize dramas. Everyone likes dramas. But the dramas are as such that they convey these principles of religion. We can do kirtan melas for the youth. They like it. They like it. That we invite them to, with all their instruments, to do kirtan. That you just invite them only kirtan. That and then you, in between, you give some philosophy and give them all a small book, and that can be the beginning. But we have to attract them. We have to look. What are they interested in? And then we try to give them what they are interested in, dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. That sometimes people are also interested in prasadam, nice food, because it tastes good. A lot of cheese, and they like it. And that's the beginning. So we have to begin at a very low level. The Prabhupada was in Amsterdam at a Vondelpark. There were many hippies. And Prabhupada gave a lecture, but they disturbed the lecture constantly. And Prabhupada said, stop, just give them prasad. And unfortunately, we are on that level. So therefore, prasad distribution is important. That catering is important. It is becoming more and more important. That in between, we give them philosophy. We have to find ways. But it's important to think about it in your area. What are attracting them? What do they like? I hope that helps. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, that is very helpful. So much, Maharaj.
Then we continue Monday with the nectar of instruction discussions. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. His Honest Bhakti Prabha Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.